Thank you for tuning in with your host, Tom Atwater, and this is the story of a man named Alexander Jackson. And this story takes place in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The day of the crime. Jackson phoned 911 on the morning of June 15, 2021, to report that someone had broken into his house. He said he and a family member had been shot. After police arrived, Jackson explained he'd been shot in the foot while struggling with an intruder, whom he described as a black man wearing green shoes. The weapon he and this man had supposedly wrestled over was a Browning .22 caliber semi-automatic rifle that belonged to the Jackson family. Officers saw Jackson's father's body lying on the floor when they entered the home. Police went on to discover the bodies of Jackson's mother and sister in their respective bedrooms. Each victim had multiple bullet wounds. Jackson was taken to a hospital for treatment. There, police questioned him for about 4 hours. They told Jackson they'd uncovered no evidence of someone approaching his house. They also didn't believe that a random intruder who'd happened upon a rifle would spontaneously decide to commit murder. Throughout Jackson's hospital interrogation and when he spoke to investigators at the police station that night, he insisted he had not harmed his family. But police weren't convinced, and Jackson was charged with the murders of his parents and sister, what made Alexander Jackson kill. To become an Eagle Scout in 2017, Jackson had helped restore a house for low-income families. He played the flute in high school. He went on to enroll in college to study business. If Jackson was a psychopath, you would expect to see a long trail of evidence to that end. Harming animals when he was a kid, or setting fires or breaking the law. Dr. Rod Hovet, a forensic and clinical psychologist who has not examined or spoken to Jackson, tells A&E True Crime. It strikes me as incredibly unlikely that somebody with psychopathy could or would live a normal life, masking all of this underlying hostility and violence. People testified on Jackson's behalf at his trial. His former scout leader said he trusted Jackson to mentor younger kids. A friend described Jackson as never being violent. This is one of those situations where there are no risk factors, Hovet says. The fact that he was an Eagle Scout and able to form friendships are what I would call protective factors. There's every reason in the world to believe this is a good kid who wouldn't make a decision like this. When Jackson spoke to police at the hospital, he admitted he was struggling academically and feared his father would make him move out or get a job. At Jackson's trial in January 2023, the prosecution said Jackson, who then had about $30 to his name, may have killed his family to avoid having to leave home. Maybe the idea of being kicked out of his parents' house was terrifying or infuriating, Hovet says. I don't know if that's true, but that reaction certainly fits within two things. At the age of 20, his brain is not fully developed yet, and he's in this developmental phase of emerging adulthood, where he doesn't socially or culturally feel ready to be on his own. Hovet adds, just because somebody doesn't have any risk factors doesn't mean they won't commit a crime. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. We like to do these stories to spread awareness. We are not here to judge anyone. I would like to know what you all think about this story. Please leave a comment below, and thanks again for tuning in. Stay tuned for more stories of true crime with Tom Atwater.